What's happening to me, sweetheart? I don't know, Mom. I do. I'm free now.
Hello and welcome back to Scaredy Cat Films. Again, it's been a long time since I've uploaded. I said I was gonna be better, and I was not. But with the new Evil Dead movie coming out, I love Evil Dead, so I just had to make a video on it. As you can see, got my Savini Ash t-shirt from the video game. And I figured I'd go ahead and make a video review. I just got out of the theater earlier today and wanted to sit down and talk about what I thought about the movie and let you guys know. Before we get into that, I want to talk about Evil Dead as a franchise. I love the first film, got me into filmmaking. Love all the other ones as well. So when I saw that it was announced that a new Evil Dead was going to be coming out, I was highly excited. I went ahead and followed Lee Cronin, the director and writer of the film, on Twitter, and was seeing all the updates and stuff. Was anticipating this film a lot. So it was finally fully released yesterday. I saw it today, and what I think about it, well, it was really good. I want to say I feel like Evil Dead is one of the strongest horror franchises. None of them are really bad. The original one is great. Evil Dead 2, I think, is a lot of people's favorites. Army of Darkness is really good as well, even though it feels the most different for obvious reasons. And then even the remake, I think, is one of the best horror remakes. And this movie did not disappoint at all. When it comes to the movies, they're sort of the people who like the originals because of their like slapsticky, dark horror comedy aspects. And then I know a lot of people who just prefer the remake because it's more just straight horror. It's not really funny at all. When it comes to Evil Dead Rise, I want to say it's 80% more like the remake, but it does lean more into the cheesiness than that does. There's more slapsticky jokes and things like that in this film. So I kind of already said that I like the film, but here's more of like a quick, concise review. The movie is good. It subverts expectations a lot, I think, throughout the movie because it kind of does what the tropiness is in these horror films. Evil Dead, I know, has a lot of horror tropes that even it made itself. And this movie does a lot of those tropes, but does it very well. There's a couple things I don't like about the movie. I wouldn't say it's perfect. As a horror film overall, I would say it's well above average compared to normal horror films. For an Evil Dead movie, I think it kind of just hit the mark right there. It did like a little bit above the bare minimum. The first two acts of this film, I think, are very great. The third act is where it doesn't necessarily fall apart for me, but it's not, I guess, what I expected. So I don't necessarily know if I like it or not. I'm going to try to see the film again tomorrow to try to get more thoughts on that, which I might actually wait and put that into this video. If so, then here's me saying that. If I don't, then I didn't see it again.
All right, so just got back from a second viewing, editing the video right now, and I definitely did like it a lot more the second time. I think it's a movie with more rewatches you're gonna like a lot more, but all my points still stand. The third act is still kind of not necessarily weak, but in my opinion, not as good as it could be, and a lot of the points I make still stand in this video, so I'll leave it at that.
So yeah, I was. All right, so let's just get into specific things that I liked. Um, this movie does use a lot of blood, not as much as the 2013 remake. I feel like the trailers kind of push it as this, and like I said, I've been following Lee Cronin on Twitter, and he had been talking about like all the blood they used and all this, and I'll get into spoilers and talk about a specific scene where I think all the blood that they were talking about actually came from. But overall, when it comes to the attacks and deaths and things like that, it's not really as gruesome as I expected an Evil Dead movie to be. Not that that's bad in any means. So, just so you know. Another thing I like about this movie is that it is a family. So, if you've seen the trailer, you know it's a family in their apartment rather than a group of friends, boyfriends and girlfriends, things like that. Although, if your boyfriend and girlfriend gets possessed by a deadite, it does mean it probably will affect you a lot. But if it's a family member, in this case, mother and her kids, it's going to be a lot more emotional. And for the most part, it is. There's a couple things where I just was like, okay, but it does make it more emotional, I would say, compared to the original films, which none of them really focus on family at all. I know Ash has his sister Cheryl, which is family, but they don't really act like brother and sister, in my opinion. So let's talk about dislikes. So I kind of already talked about this in my main review. I didn't really like the ending, but that I wouldn't call necessarily a dislike. I felt like it was going one way and then it kind of moved to a different thing, which I wasn't expecting, which is kind of nice, but also it didn't really necessarily work for me. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about at the very end. But another dislike is the use of the Deadites. Minor spoiler, there's other people in this apartment building other than the main family that we're following, and they kind of do nothing. They're in the film, and there's stuff that happens with them, and there is Deadite activity going on, but not enough that I really would have wanted, and I wish they would have done more with the other Deadites and things like that going on in the apartments. And that's really my main dislike, other than or criticism, I guess, other than some of the CGI effects that were going on. All the practical stuff looked good, but there was just some moments where I was like, this is kind of a little wonky, is all. All right, so overall, would I recommend the film? Of course, if you couldn't tell by everything I've been praising it for, I think this film is really good. If you like Evil Dead, you should see it, obviously. I'm about to get into spoilers, so spoiler warning. I just wanted to talk about a couple specifics, elaborate on some things I've said. So if you haven't seen Evil Dead Rise, I would highly recommend going to see it, and let's talk about some spoilers. Right, so when I was talking about the ending that I didn't really necessarily like is there's a scene towards the end where the sister and the daughter, the youngest daughter, they're escaping from their apartment, and the main Deadite, who is the mother of the children and the sister, her and her kids, who have also died and become Deadites, start to fuse together, and basically the final thing feels like this fight between a creature with the heads of all three and all their arms and limbs crawling around, and I guess it feels kind of Evil Dead, but not really. I don't know how to explain it. If you see the movie, you can see what I'm talking about. Don't know if that worked for me. I thought it was very strange. I know we've seen weird creatures. Army of Darkness has like the flying Deadeye things, even just like skeletons. So really, I guess it could be whatever. There's, I mean, a freaking mutant tree in Evil Dead 2. So it's not out of the realm of like what I would expect Evil Dead universe to have, but it's not it doesn't really work in this movie. I would say this feels more, like I said, the 2013 movie, 80% to 90% more like that. It feels more grounded. So when that kind of happened, I was like, another thing that I talked about earlier that I want to elaborate on is the dark comedy that I was talking about. So there's a scene which is probably an homage to Evil Dead 2, I would assume, where she bites the eye out of someone and then spits it into another person, one of the people who live in the apartment, not the main family, and the person just chokes and dies on the eyeball, which happens to Bobby Joe. In Evil Dead 2, she doesn't die from that, but the kid in this movie does, and it's obviously meant to be funny, and I'm pretty sure an homage, but things like that make it a little more feel a little more like the originals. Another thing is the main character. I want to say, I guess I should have not put these in the spoiler things. This is just something I'm just thinking of now, but talking about the performances, all the performances I thought were really good. Some of it was a little, I couldn't tell if they were meant to be a little more cheesy, probably, but it just wasn't necessarily working in certain moments. But the kid actors were pretty good. The main character, hero sister, I forgot all their names also. So Beth, I think. Um, I thought she was good and then kind of not good in the ending. She kind of turned into like they're trying to do Mia again, from Evil Dead 2013. I keep talking about that movie, but this is what that movie feels like, and it's in the same franchise. So, but she's doing like one-liners to the creature and stuff. So I don't know. The last spoiler thing is all the blood. There's a scene with an elevator, and the elevator fills with blood. I'm pretty sure that's probably where all their blood effects went to. There is some vomiting stuff with blood vomiting, and things like that, but a lot of the kills don't really feel as bloody as they have in previous Evil Dead movies. Um, I know some people go to see Evil Dead movies for the blood, so uh, just so you know, that's a thing. And yeah, overall, those were all my thoughts on Evil Dead Rise. It's still pretty good. Evil Dead still is probably one of the strongest horror franchises. I don't really think they have a bad film at all. None of these are bad by any means. If you wanted to hear what I think about the other Evil Dead movies, I do have videos for Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness up on the channel. They're more breakdowns, so they're mostly spoilers, but I do go over my quick thoughts on them at the beginning of each video. I had one for Evil Dead 2013, but it kept getting age restricted and blocked in multiple countries, so hopefully I can make another one of those in the future. I tried editing it a bunch and it just wouldn't, YouTube wouldn't take it, so that's very unfortunate, but hopefully this one also doesn't get blocked. Those are my thoughts on Evil Dead Rise. Leave a like if you like the video, give a share if you want to share this with a friend, and please leave a comment. Let me know if you saw Evil Dead Rise, what you thought about it, or just go ahead and leave a comment what you think about any Evil Dead movie in the franchise. I would love to hear what you guys want to say. I love talking with you all. And in the future, I probably want to do a tier list breaking down all the Evil Dead movies and ranking them, and also maybe some more Evil Dead game, Evil Dead the game gameplay, either on my Twitch or on YouTube. I did a live stream once and it did pretty well, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, see ya.